Okay. Okay, aloha everybody. Mahalo nui loa. The BAE committee is now back in open session and will now proceed. We just got out of executive session. I want to let the vast majority of our viewership know that in executive session, the committee discussed legal options and board duties as to potential legal action over Papahānaumokuākea. No decision was made. Okay, so let's proceed now to item number 4, new business, Island Burial Council nominations. And this is action item BAE 25-05, approval of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs nominee for Kauai ihau Island Burial Council for transmittal to the Office of the Governor as follows. Megan Wong. Leanne, are there any testifiers on this item?
There are no testifiers at this time.
Okay. So we can get into discussion. We need a motion to approve the Office of Hawaiian Affairs nominee
So
for
move.
the Kauai ihau. Yeah, thanks, Dan. You're ahead of your time, brother.
I want to get her in.
Okay, trustees, any discussion? Huh? Any? You want to call for the vote? You guys sure? Okay. Yeah, I know, Megan. Yeah, that was impressive. Now, there being no discussion, Leanne, call for the vote, please.
Trustee Ahuna.
Aye.
Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina. Not present. Trustee Alapa.
Aye.
Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Waihe'e.
Yes.
Trustee Akina. Chair Galutaria.
Aye.
9 votes. Motion passed unanimously.
All right, congratulations, Megan. And Trustee Ahuna, please give her our aloha since you're on the island. Okay,
Thank you. I will do that.
mahalo. And by the way, for the listening audience, if there are any of you who are interested in working on any Island Burial Council, please contact Office of Hawaiian Affairs, okay? We'd be happy to advance your name where appropriate. Okay, let's move to the new business item, presentation by the administration, the 2025 legislative session wrap-up, significant outcomes. Please, Lena Ala, you coming? Okay, please proceed.
Mahalo, Chair. We have another, oh, here it is, PowerPoint presentation. The goal of this is to be very brief, and if trustees have further questions and want to discuss, I'm happy to meet with trustees one-on-one because it's hard to cover everything that happened. So this is more of a high-level overview, but please reach out with any additional questions. Next slide, please. So I think we're all pretty familiar with what happened with our package. The budget bill passed, but it was flat funding, and the EV working group were working to implement. So that work is ongoing. Stacy does have an update with respect to the public land trust bill that was for funding the working group.
Mahalo, Lee. So a few weeks ago, we had Chair Emerita and Chair Galutaria, myself, Sherry Broder, met with Speaker Nadine Nakamura to talk about next steps with the Hawaiian Kingdom Crown and Government lands land inventory. And it was decided at that time that Speaker Nakamura was still very much committed to getting that land inventory done and including legislative members as informal participants of the PLT working group, more as observers, but certainly I think there was consensus from our OHA representatives and leaders that it's important to have those legislative members attending, listening, because once that land inventory or as it's going through its process, and then once it gets completed, that we would have legislative support. And I think that has been one of the major missing pieces, is that it's been a conversation between OHA and our OHA leaders here and the executive branch leaders, but really not having that legislative leadership. So that was very promising. And then the next steps were that Speaker Nakamura was going to talk to Senate President as well as the governor. And so we put forth a draft agenda for that meeting. And so we are now waiting to hear back from Speaker Nakamura's meetings with those two. Mahalo.
Next slide, please. So this one, if you could advance to the next slide, this one's really quick because honestly, most of the ones that we discussed were resolutions. The only OHA named bills of any significance that you might recall were the public funding bills died. The master settlement bill died, but again, it could come back because it's a biennium. So all the same legislative vehicles are still technically they can be, reintroduced again next session very easily. And then Mauna Ala was, not part of our package, but it was one of our priorities this session. So that's significant. So this is the overview of the ceded lands. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So the main significant bill was SB 739 passed. And we had just commented on this, asking that the public land status of the private lands that the state acquires in exchange for the land it gives away are also classified as public land. So then they're subject to the 20%, right? That is the purpose of that classification. And we also asked that it be subject to legislative approval, which is in our board policy, following our HCDA legislation. So the second condition did not get implemented. It's not subject to legislative approval, but it is still has to go through the BLNR. So OHA will still have an opportunity for us to present testimony if there's any parcels of concern that are proposed for exchange under this, new bill. So we'll keep our eye out for that at the BLNR level. Next slide. So this is, the biggest category of bills. It's very broad. What kind of bills fall in this category, but some of the significant ones that I pulled out was the ban on landfills over significant aquifers was passed. There's a typo in there. That was the one that was going to be in Wahiawa, potentially close to our Kukani local property. So that was of concern to OHA to have, a landfill in that culturally significant area. So that ban did pass. Hannah Springer, sorry for the typos, was confirmed by the Senate to sit on the Loea seat in the Water Commission, which was a huge community fight. So that was a good outcome. We also supported the BAE coordinator that's going to kind of provide the role of aggregating state and county action. So there's a unified voice coming from the state on Red Hill cleanup. So that was another good one. Biosecurity, there's all the issues that everyone's familiar with that's affecting our natural resources, and DOA has not honestly had the best track record on addressing like the coconut rhinoceros beetle, the ants, the fire ants when they came through. So the purpose of this bill is to beef up our measures to ensure that what's happened in the past is sometimes there's known nurseries that have infested plants and they're still like selling them and there hasn't been any effort to stop them. So this would be like tightening up how we regulate those entities that might be responsible for distributing contaminated products. Sorry that there's a bunch of typos in here. And then we actually didn't, this one's flipped under our radar, but I did want to flag for you all, since the military leases is a recurring issue, is that there's a working group to look at kind of what is the contamination issues around Schofield, and that might inform, even though that one's not specifically in the lease negotiations, it might inform our understanding of like the contamination problems that we've already flagged. We think it's really important that the military, when looking at renewal, actually address contamination. So this study, this working group will kind of help inform, what are the problems that we see with contamination in former military sites. Next slide. So housing, that's just the overview. Next slide, please. There wasn't a lot of good progress on housing. I think there were very few bills that passed that directly address this problem. The Kaua initiative did become a permanent program, and I know that was one a lot of the trustees were familiar with, so I did want to flag that, although the program has also come under scrutiny recently about how appropriations are made, but it still has very concrete projects that it can point to that it has completed that benefit the community. And then also there was a rent supplement program that had been in place for Kupuna, I think from 2020 from COVID, and it was gonna expire this year, and it was extended another 2 years to help Kupuna stay in their homes and not become homeless essentially. And then of course, the big one, we all know the DHHL funding bill died. So we'll have to see what happens with that next session. Okay, health, next slide, please. We had a number of bills that will help our community. Telehealth is considered really important for rural access. So that was extended, that healthcare has to cover that. There was a bill that specifically addressed culturally grounded mental health programs because there's been such an uptick in mental health problems among youth. So that one was, really good that it passed, targeting our beneficiaries. There's a cancer study that the UH Cancer Center actually proposed the funding. So it's, based on what the researchers are saying they need, and it includes it on a Cooley landfill site, which has been an area of concern for the community. So I think that's a really good thing. And then the remaining ones are kind of criminal justice reform that are known ways of reducing recidivism. Like, you don't want kids in adult facilities for many obvious reasons, but that often happens. And if you're a kid, you're juvenile, you're in an adult facility, you're going to usually not have as good outcomes for rehabilitation. The next one is to let basically sex trafficking victims obtain help from law enforcement without being subject to prosecution for prostitution themselves, so they can, go to the police safely. And we know that a lot of the trafficked women are young Native Hawaiian girls. And that was also kind of the purpose of that, was Rep. Souza's the last one, resolution asking DOJ to expand its program that puts funds into looking, basically helping address this problem in Hawaii. So those were all really important. Education overview, next slide, please. We didn't have a lot of success in education bills this year either. The main one that I'm highlighting here is the Bachelor of Science on Maui, because that can help, it's an educational opportunity, but it's also the healthcare worker pipeline, which we need to address with Maui and especially Molokai. So having this program in Maui County is a good thing. And I just flagged one significant one that died that we really want to look at advancing next year, is having a complex area superintendent that's specifically for the immersion school, so that they have the same level within the bureaucracy essentially to advocate for their needs. Okay, next slide. We're almost done. Next slide. Yeah. So the significant, I just put some ones that died that we're likely to support again next year, but there was kind of a bill that we supported, but it's one we're going to have to see how it's actually implemented. It's a resource center to help, value add for farmers and different community entrepreneurs that might need more facilities. So it's like an area that they can access to help process products. But, it needs to be implemented. So we're going to be working with our S&I team to monitor how that one's actually implemented and make sure that it's accessible in the way it's supposed to be. And then the last slide for our EV kupuna, there's a lot of bad bills this session. So basically, we're gonna have to be monitoring the implementation of all these bills, which I will high level summarize. Erode protections for EV kupuna, some through these timelines, expedited review, which is problematic because then if SHPD doesn't meet these timelines, there's an automatic approval. And while it sounds good to try and assist with agency efficiency, many times the delays are due to the project applicant themselves doesn't have the proper information. So it kind of creates this catch-22 for the agency and that they're being forced to approve things before they have all the information. So we're going to monitor those. And then there were a few that we conditionally supported, and you might recall we talked about them, 1263 and SB 79. They both they create a inventory system so you can identify proactively high risk areas. So OHA is a required consulting party. So we're going to try and use that inventory system to actually provide greater protections for areas that are known to contain burial. So we're going to be monitoring and involved in the rulemaking for those bills. So those bills were kind of mixed bag. Some of the things were okay and other things were bad. And then SB 66 is one we're really concerned about because it basically allows the county to exempt itself from 6E in certain cases, which is not proper. SHPD opposed this as well, and it somehow got through. So I don't know if we're going to try and repeal it or what will be the strategy on that next year. And same with SB 15 at the top. SHPD also opposed that one. I think it could just be inelegant drafting of the bill that makes it that it suggests that like privately held property is exempt from 6E because that's totally contrary to the purpose of the statute. But the final language in this bill that was really minor to start with, it was just supposed to talk about not making people go through the whole process if they're just trying to like change a window on a historic home. That's what it started out addressing, was just historic homes. Turned into something totally different. So SHPD and us are aligned and are concerned for some of these bills. So we will be working with them on monitoring implementation. So that's a very high level overview. If anyone has suggestions also on a better way to present the information, I'm open. It is really, really hard when we have so many bills to think about what is the best way to do this summary for you. And so that's why I'm encouraging, if you have questions, you want to discuss anything with me, I'm happy to. It's so difficult. I mean, I didn't want everyone to have to sit here and go through the matrices again, like case by case. So I'm open to suggestions on how this end of year summary could be improved.
Well, you got a hard job. We appreciate it. That square building is not for everybody. You know, closest thing you got is, if you got black belt in capital, good for you. But we want to get you fully staffed as well. So we got months before the next session. So,
we have two new
new?
advocates starting on August 1st.
okay,
That will bring also subject matter expertise in some of our key areas. So we're looking forward to
all right.
being able to do more next year.
Do we have any testifiers on this presentation? None? No,
None.
seeing none. Trustees, any questions or comments? Trustee
Yeah,
Clay.
Thanks, Daniela, for your work. And since we have all of our trustees here, Chair, if you don't mind if I ask an update, we are thinking about doing like a legislative open house in early fall. Can you give us any updates on that for the trustees in terms of timing?
We were originally looking at September. I've been talking with Jasmine to try and nail down a date, but we haven't been able to do that. But that is still our goal, would be December, to invite legislators here to host a reception. Yeah, this was Chair Kahele's suggestion. So if September though, because it does seem like some people are going to be out of the state during that time, it might be better to push it to October, but early October. So we're looking at the late September, early October timeframe.
Yeah, I thought it was a good suggestion to do post-leg session, Chair, to do that. And, you know, many legislators have never even been to OHA. I think it would be a great way to do an open house for certain key stakeholders and legislators that we want to, invite them here and know where OHA is and give them, in a captive audience, a chance to talk about some of our priorities and issues. I think they would welcome it too. So probably no later than October. Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair.
Vice Chair Kaka?
Mahalo, I'm happy to learn of this, as this is something I've been asking for since I came on to join the board at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. So I think it's very important for us to be able to have it where we have our legislature have a better connection with OHA and have a better understanding in the frame in our in-house production here, and who we are at OHA and the various departments that make up the work that we do, and so that they'll have a better understanding, and I would hope theoretically be more inclined to fulfill that mandate in terms of our funding. Mahalo.
That's really true, because next year's election year too. And they're going to be looking for hopefully Native Hawaiian votes, which is what we would want to encourage our Lahui to do, is vote. Okay, any other questions, statements, comments? Chair Hulu.
I just think that we need to strategize a little better long before the session opens. We cannot be doing last minute stuff because, it just falls straight down and nothing happens. But we should strategize as the whole board and support the lead. If chair is going to go up in Kakako, we need to be behind him. He cannot do it himself because they're watching us. The legislature is watching us. So we need to show unity in what we're doing so that we can come out strong as 9 people. And maybe we're able to share ideas among ourselves so that we can become stronger. The legislators talk with us individually. And, I always present a positive attitude, but they ask negative questions. So we need to be aware of they're feeling us out as far as how we are conducting ourselves among ourselves. So I just think that's we need to take a more positive step before the session starts, and long before the session starts, maybe in November, December, we got to take strong stands. If we're going to have a very strong item in the legislature, we should all get behind it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Come out with one voice so that they believe us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Final.
Mahalo. To add to what you're saying, I think given that timing, I'm thinking of when we're going to be in the same vicinity as large gatherings of our people. So with that in mind, we have upcoming the CNHA convention as well as the Hawaiian Civic Club convention. So I think if before then we can have a better idea of what the intentions are and what the goals are, and then be able to have at least somewhat of a consensus of that, and then we present that there to get a read on what the interests or disinterests are of our people and how they can be engaged to then whether it is in testimony orally or written, that we really activate them and give them the opportunity to participate in civic engagement.
Mahalo. Thank you. Okay, we're moving to the end of this committee, but Kapuana.
Mahalo, Chair. Thank you, Vice Chair, for that comment. So Lei and I have been working on a timeline. We will be updating the BAE committee at our next meeting next week, or excuse me, when we come back from our trip in 2 weeks. So we will have a draft timeline for all of the activities that we were just talking about and even more. So we will be able to bring to the board at a formal BAE committee what the plan will be going into session. So there'll be much more information to come, and certainly opportunities for the board to come to consensus on what the direction will be for session.
Good.
And Lei?
Yeah, so I just wanted to share our tentative timeline for that Stacy said we're still working on, but it would be early October to be looking at our BAE package or our OHA package. So if different trustees have legislative items they want to bring to the table, I thought it'd be helpful to flag that we're looking at early October. And we're also looking at scheduling some issue sessions on issues that might come up that are contentious that we're not going to be pushing ourselves, but we might be asked to take a position on, like gambling came up this session, geothermal is likely to come up. So for us to have an opportunity in advance to discuss some of those issues. And then the final thing I wanted to share is we're having go live next month a community survey that asks our beneficiaries kind of based on the matrix category, so MIMO plus iwi kupuna, ceded lands, a few other key areas, to rank what are their priority issues and if there's anything they're concerned about that doesn't, appear on our list of priority issues. And then we're also going to have our advocates working with community engagement to use that survey when they're out in the community to, try to have a little more of a listening engagement before we start doing those community empowerment forums at the end of the year. So before we're kind of like telling them this is our package and this is how to advocate, kind of listening so they feel like we've done that as the first step.
Good. Sounds like you got a robust schedule coming up for the fall. All right, very good. Let's move on. Community concerns and celebrations, anything to share? Okay, seeing none, any announcements? Okay. You have a what? Carol Aloha? Oh, is she on right now? Okay. Hi, aloha.
Aloha.
Have you something
Aloha.
to share?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. Our community concerns. How many minutes do I have?
What is that? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Now, please.
You have 5
begin.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So aloha Tara Rojas. I wanted to put just some input into this. I was listening to your meeting as well as listening to the Maui County Council going on right now, Bill 9. And man, look at the state we're in. I really believe that there are Pono people, and then I really believe that there are some playing, like, I don't know, just gonna say it, like two sides of the fence, like what is shown in the public versus, what's actually really going on behind. What I heard from a report earlier is that, albeit this is still the kingdom and there's the usurpation, that this is unlawful, illegally occupying state, and with all these processes that even right now we're going through. But the fact that it's just disconcerting, and to see what gets passed as far as economic development, or that's pretty much it, economic development, forward movement, without realizing what is happening at the same time with kupuna being removed from their homes, with Kanaka, with lineal descendancy getting removed from their positions, and again, their aina and their roles, all in the name of profit and greed, because profit and greed is what this system is basically the priority. Even with the community development plans, went to the Ka'u development plan on Monday. And again, the community, the people that were for it, were people that part of the trust. And a lot of the people in the community Did they even know about that meeting? I mean, we look at just trying to find how to get onto the Maui County Council meeting from their website. You see my gosh, I'm going to say it one more time, uku billion committees and processes that you got to keep on top of. So all in all, to say that for the things that are truly pono for the people, great. For the things that are only benefiting those who can afford it or are benefiting from it somehow, not great, because this affects the future generations. I know it sounds cliche. I know you heard it millions of times before, but you really have to think who's around the table right now. You guys are choosing for your own people and for the future of Hawaii. You might not see it now, but the effects of bad water management and control of water by people who should not have control of the water. You just talked about that lawyer seat, right? Finally getting a pono person, you know how much effort and time and struggle and sweat and tears and stress it took to finally get what should be automatic in Hawaii. Water, aina, iwi. You all should be like an outroar about that SpaceX allowing, getting the permitting to drop all the rubbish into the waters off of the islands, Papahānaumokuākea. You should all be outraged that Mark Zuckerberg's expanding his compound, the fact that he even has a compound, that it's going to go over, if it didn't already start illegally, but it's going to go over the iwi of Ohana of people actually still like there. You should be outraged at what's happening at Mauna Ala. Whether you have control or the fake state or whatnot, Mauna Ala is sovereign. And look what happened to lineally appointed descendant, Kahu. And then the state park, and then all of that, and then the person there, charging the lineally appointed. You guys really need to open your eyes and get out of just the norm. And this is a job, I got to do this, and we're just gonna go on. Okay, next testifier. Okay, next. You guys really gotta. Now is the time to make the true change, not for your own egoistic selves and family, or by pressure, or by being forced to.
Tara, you have 30 seconds, please. Thank you.
So I'm just gonna just put it out there because it's 132 years of this. It's you all sitting around there. Yes, that you got to be united for pono. Get out of that it's a job. I got to do this. I got to really dig deep into your now and be the change for pono in Hawaii. Got to keep Hawaii. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo. Any more announcements today? No, seeing no announcements, I do have one. The Budget and Finance meeting is scheduled now for 11:15, Chair? 11:20. Okay, very good. Anything else, board? No? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn the July 23rd BAE meeting. So move. Second? No need second. No need. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No? Okay. Mahalo.